Okay, here we go with our second video in this series on the 4P's. We already talked about product. Now let's talk about what price has to do with marketing. What I'm gonna do really quickly here, let's play a mini game of the Price is Right. I pulled some product images off of Amazon. I'm gonna show them on the screen, take a look at them for a second, and try and guess what the price is gonna be. And then I'll show the price. We can see if you're right on the money, if you're above a little bit, if you guessed above, or if you guessed below. So here we go, we got some MPOW earbuds. What do you think it is? These are $49.99. Okay. Next, we're gonna have some over-the-ear headphones, and these ones are from the company Vankyo. I don't even know what that one is. These ones, $89.99. So are you above? Did you guess below or around that mark? How about Fitbit? I think this is a Fitbit 4. It's got the touch screen, right? It's a little bit of the more advanced model. What do you think it is? This one is $200. $199.95. And lastly, we've got a ring light, a selfie ring light here at the stand. How much do you think this one costs? And this one costs $45.99. So were there any patterns? Were you noticing that you were generally guessing under or guessing over? What other patterns did you see? Did it make a difference if you knew what the brand was, right? MPOW or Vankyo versus Fitbit? So as we start to go through this video here, we're going to start to see maybe why we price things lower or higher, or why we as consumers judge different products at different prices, and if they don't match, why we would or why we would not buy them. Okay, so we're going to talk about price, and again, the C that correlates with price is cost. And remember, price is a component of marketing. What is marketing? Well, price is part of it, and cost is the strategy, right? How do we cost our product so the price works for our consumer? Okay, so when we talk about price, we're talking about the selling point of our price and the revenue. So selling point is literally what are we selling our product for? And that's when we saw on Amazon, right? The Fitbit at $200, that's the selling point. And then the revenue is how much money we bring in from sales. It's not quite profit, right? But revenue is just the money we bring in from sales. And then when we talk about costs, there's quite a few different costs out there, but essentially it's the money to make the product and some other intangible costs, which we're going to talk about in a bit here. Okay? So here we're going to go through different types of costs for our products. First, we have materials. What materials do we actually have to buy and use to make our product, right? So let's think of a car. We have to think of everything that goes into a car. The metal that makes up the body, the metal that makes up the engine, right? All the various parts, the rubber on the tires, the leather on the seats, all of those materials go into the cost of a car. Okay, so woods, metals, plastics, but it could also be various components, right? If you're a business, you're not always making everything from scratch. So you would still cost into account your parts, right? So for a car, it could be the nuts and the bolts, the washers, all of that stuff, the wires, any hardware as well, computers, that sort of thing, microchips. Okay, then we get into production costs, right? And this is where we get into the manufacturing. What does it cost to actually put this car together? It goes down the assembly line, all the robots are putting stuff on there, the workers get in there. So it's the manufacturing of all the different parts, the assembly, and if it applies, the packaging. Okay, and of course, we have to pay people to do all this stuff. So those labor costs go into this product as well. And then once the product is done, it's made, we have to distribute it. We have to actually get it to places. So the shipping cost, which and the handling, which we would call freight, depending on how you want to pronounce it. and potentially any warehousing costs. It costs money to keep something in a warehouse, strangely enough. So that will go into distribution costs as well. And then, okay, great. We sent out these cars to all the dealerships, but is that it? Not really, because we actually now have to do our job, and we have to market these products. We have to market these cars so that they'll actually sell, right? So we already talked about product as a part of marketing. So the design, the development, the actual cost itself of the car, that all goes into the marketing of it. We're going to talk about place in a second, or in the next video, but that's essentially the building, everything about the dealership in this case. Any of those costs get factored in to the price, and any promotion costs, which again will be in another video, but essentially all the advertising and communications and the sales promotions that you're going to be doing. Oh, that's not it. We've got more. And then we got the overhead costs. And this is a fancy word, overhead, for anything that costs money in your company that doesn't go directly into the car itself. So the salaries of maybe our managers and accountants, administration staff, our utilities like the water, the electricity of our buildings, right? Equipment. So the maintenance of our equipment, the repair of our machines, anything like that is all covered under this term called overhead. And then we have other costs. And these are the intangible costs, which I had mentioned earlier. So there's usually a social cost to doing business and an environmental cost. So climate change, pollution, garbage in our oceans, all of those things would be considered intangible costs. Whew. So you can really see there's a lot of things that go into how we price our products. We need to be able to price our products to cover all these costs, or else we're going to lose money, right? But that's not it. That's just one side of things. That's just cost. There's other factors that go into what we should sell our products for, or our services, right? So what else is there? Well, there's our brand. Our brand will dictate what kind of price we'll have, right? Let's think of an example. iPhones versus Nokia phones. Which one's going to be more expensive? iPhones. And it's not necessarily just because of the phone itself, right? You can even think compared to LG or Samsung's, usually iPhones will probably be a bit more expensive just because of that brand name, right? They're a premium brand, they're an expensive, many people think they're an innovative brand, so they can charge that extra few dollars for their product, right? So again, are they a premium brand like iPhone or Apple, or are they more economical like LG, right? Same thing, we can take this to cars, right? What's going to cost more, a Corvette or a Honda Civic? Obviously the Corvette. One, because the car is different, it's a high performance vehicle, but also the brand name, right? Think of Cadillacs. Cadillacs aren't that special of a car anymore, but their brand name still carries a lot of weight, so that's why they're pretty expensive. Okay? But then even the consumers themselves, right? If you're marketing to specific people, you have to price your product that fits with their incomes, or else they're not going to buy it if it's priced too high, right? And also, I don't know why it's great out there, but the lifestyle. If they have a lavish lifestyle, then you can price your product higher. There's people out there that will not buy a product if it's too cheap, right? If the price is too low, because they'll think, again, that it's cheap. Whereas the exact same product, if they put it at a higher price point, those same lavish consumers will then buy it. It's a really weird phenomenon.